All right. So we'll get started with episode 78. We started differently this time.
Well, so Eric, welcome back to Oregon.
Yeah, I got in late last night, and it's my something fun. So maybe I'll hold off on the
Okay.
on where I was and why I was there.
Okay.
Till later.
All right, a little bit of foreshadowing. That's fine. Let's see. What did I do this week? I did a bunch of stuff this weekend. It was a full out, like a rampage of trying to do as much stuff around the house and stuff as possible, because we've got a big graduation party next week.
That's right.
This coming weekend on Sunday, and we're gonna have I think about 40 people over from my son's 8th grade class. So,
did you get all your lights hung?
My lights are hung from the mantle with care. What is that? No. So yeah. That was the over-engineered project. Shirley was kind of like, "What are you doing? Why are you?" So because I actually took like that 1/8-inch metal cable and basically wired cable all around underneath the deck. We've got kind of a second-story deck out our main, or maybe it's our first story, but from the it goes out over the exit from. We have a daylight basement because we're kind of on a little bit of a hill,
right?
And so the basement exits out underneath the deck, which is where I was wanting to hang the lights. So anyway, I put these cables up with turnbuckles to tension them, and then hung the lights, the LED, those outdoor lights from Costco along that. So, and my thought was, well, the wires can stay up all the time, and the lights may or may not stay up, but it will be really easy to put them up and down if we want to take them down for some reason. So Anyway, yes, a little bit over-engineered, but it looks really cool. It's great. So, yeah, that was one of the projects I finished, and then the bad thing that happened this weekend was I did a lot of mowing, and I totally ran over not a little sprinkler, a big sprinkler out. It was bad, like a 2-inch pipe. And the bad thing is that I didn't even notice, because it was on the tractor with the Flail mower that I think I mentioned many, many, many episodes ago that I bought last summer.
Yes.
And I just mowed, tooling along, no big deal. I probably spent 2 hours. I think it was Sunday morning. But it was the sort of thing, I think I woke up at 5:30. It was going to be a really hot day, but it's pretty nice outside from 5:30 to 7:30 temperature wise. And I had bought myself those new headphones, so I had noise canceling headphones. I was listening to podcasts. It was a great little morning. I had put in a couple hours of work before I came back in. Nobody else was awake. But anyway, the sprinkler though was bad. I totally just plowed right over it. Didn't notice a thing, and then I think I went to turn on the irrigation. Must have been, what day is today? Today's Wednesday, so it must have been Monday. I went to turn on the irrigation, and no big deal. I turned it on and went in the house and had dinner and blah blah blah. And then I came out afterwards to do a little something else, and I'm like, those sprinklers aren't really sprinkling. Wonder why that is. They're just kind of dribbling.
I shouldn't laugh.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't. or no, maybe you should, whatever. But, I mean, I don't even know how many gallons of water I wasted, but I hopped on the mule, and I kind of was just kind of, well, that's really mysterious. And so I went out to kind of see if there was something wrong with the pump out at the well house. And as I was driving past, I looked off to my right, and there was a water fountain. It wasn't super high, like maybe 2 feet high, but it was it was a lot. It's a lot of water, and it had been going for probably an hour, which is what I feel the most bad about. Because anyway,
You could probably start a successful YouTube channel of just things versus the flail motor, or things versus the flail mower.
Will it flail?
Yeah, will it flail?
Yeah. So anyway, I was really kicking myself because once I saw that, I went and I hit the emergency shut off, and I went over and I looked at it in the ground, and I knew exactly what I had done as soon as I went up to it and realized that
the grass was really short all next to it.
Oh yes, oh yeah, oh totally. It was like, well, I'll be honest. Maybe this is a little too honest. It might not have, like, where it was in the swath of the mower, I might have run over it with the tractor tire first. just because it was kind of like off center, like just maybe a foot or so from the right hand side of the swath, and it's right about where the tractor tire could have been, I feel like. But regardless, I didn't feel a thing. So anyway, one of my projects last night was dig a small pit, kind of see how far down I split it. I had to go down about a foot below ground before I got past the part of the PVC I'd cracked, and put on a coupler, put on another length of pipe, and I made it a bit taller. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's fun. Whatever. It's always something to do around this place. That's for sure. So, yeah, it is what it is. I did go into the bees again on Saturday too, and they're doing nothing for me. They're doing nothing. They're
those lazy bees.
Lazy. Well, they're not lazy because they are sure busy as bees, but they're not doing anything for me. Yeah. Anyway, so whatever. They're bringing stuff in fast. They're growing. They're going to run out of space, so they're going to have to get up there soon. So we'll see.
All right.
I got my eyes on them. My optimism is good for this weekend. Oh, funny thing though. I had a work dinner last night, and it turns out the guy sitting 2 spaces over from me had bees too. And I was like, ooh, when'd you start? How many hives do you have? He's like, he was in his, I think this is either his 2nd or 3rd year. I think he's overwintered twice, but he's gone from 4 hives at the beginning to 28. And I'm like, well, that's not what's in my plan.
Where do you live to allow 28 hives, or does he have them off in different places?
He said it sounds like he had this is somebody from Texas, and it sounded like he had a bunch of property a long ways out of town. But I got the impression he was commuting out there in the weekends to go visit the bees.
Visit his bees.
But I don't know. We didn't actually talk about living situations or commutes or anything else. We just talked about bees.
Bees.
Anyway, that was fun. All right, we should get out of the intro.
Well, we don't have any follow-up because we thought maybe there was going to be some Docker follow-up, but apparently there's not. At least I didn't see any.
I haven't seen any fix for the Docker escape, so
Keep
I
an
haven't
eye
seen
on
anything yet. I'm keeping my eye on it. How about a topic? What do you got for me?
The other exciting thing this week, which dovetails into the topic for today, is Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference was this week.
Is this week,
yeah. And they are announcing all their cool new features, and I just wanted to call out one specific one that they talked about, which is sign in with Apple.
Yes.
You know how you can sign into all sorts of apps using your Facebook login or your Google login. There used to be this idea of OpenID, and you could get an OpenID, and you could sign in with that to try to help you only have one sign in, but link to a bunch of different accounts. So Apple has joined we're going to allow you to sign in with your Apple ID to all sorts of services.
Mm-hmm.
One of the differences here is they are doing it with the idea of privacy in mind.
Yes.
What they're doing is the same way you log in with your Face ID for any of your Apple services, you would be able to log into any other service that you want to use with your Apple ID and your Face and your Touch ID, whichever Face ID or Touch ID, whichever works. But what Apple is going to do from the privacy perspective is they will generate a random email address that Apple maps to your account. So you don't have to actually use your email address as part of signing up for the service. Apple will pretty much hide that for you. So every different app that you link or use with your Apple ID can have a different email address. And that helps for a bunch of things. One of them being, spam. If an email starts getting spammed, you just go turn that one off and send out a new one. It can work in the case of data breach. And if there's a data breach at some smaller company that you have an email with, well, it's not your actual email, so they can't link that to you. And I think one of the other things that is curious about how this will play out longer term is specifically the article says, this login system is focused on privacy and to help prevent user tracking. The places that need or make heavy use of user tracking, of course, are Google and Facebook, right? That's how they give you the ads. That's how when you're browsing on one site and you see, or you're on a site and you browse for, tacos, and then you go to another site and it starts advertising tacos to you, or whatever the case may be, right?
Yep.
So it will be interesting to see how this works, and it's not just for iPhones. It's going to be allowed as a service just in general. I don't know how it's going to work for websites and if you're not on a device without your iPhone or whatever. So there's still some open questions here, but one of the things that I found also very interesting was in their updates to the App Store review guidelines.
Oh, yes.
There is a couple sentences at the end of this where, they go through and they talk about, hey, they're doing things like VPNs because they have sensitive data. VPNs can't do certain things, and that's now part of their guidelines, so they can kick you out. Or MDMs, they've changed it. There's been these quasi-supported parental control apps, right? With MDMs that they now have, I guess, kind of made it official that consumer parental control apps can use MDM APIs. And there's a number of other ones. Well, one of the items in here related to the sign-in, it says, sign-in with Apple will be available for beta testing this summer. It will require as an option for users and apps that support third-party sign-in when it is commercially available this year. So how I read that is if you are an app developer and you allow the users to sign in with Google or sign in with Twitter or sign in with Facebook, then you are required to pass the Apple App Store guidelines to also allow sign in with Apple. So kind of using their muscle to encourage or make it as available as possible for people to use sign in with Apple.
To require.
Yes. If you want to be in the App Store.
So sometime this fall there will be a one bug app fix for some app that had previously allowed sign in with Twitter or sign in with Google, and it will fail App Store review because they have not added sign in with Apple support.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested in the whole privacy part. I think I saw the screenshot in the article had something about private relay. I don't have it in front of me where it'll
the
randomly
screenshot.
generate
Yep.
email addresses. But I think that's really clever. I'm interested in that, and I would absolutely use that. Although I don't tend to sign in with either Facebook because no, or Google because oh hell no. But
I generally, because I am a heavy user of password managers, if there is an option to create your own account, then I will typically opt for the create your own account. On occasion,
you're right. I have run into something that didn't allow me to create one.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
it
remember
either
what
said
that is.
Google or Facebook or Twitter. They just assume you have one of those three. And in that case, then I will use, I will either, depending on what the site is, I'll either use Google or Twitter, depending on, what the site is that I'm going to use it for.
Right.
So I have a few of those, but not very many.
Yeah.
And
no, I did just run into that with something in the last couple of weeks. I don't remember what it was. Is Pinterest that way? I feel like.
Yeah. I don't know.
Are they? I don't know.
know.
I feel like it was something funny that I rarely ever go to, and I was like, and I clearly already had an account or something like that.
Right.
But.
Yeah, I think Stack Overflow is one where I gave up trying to log in separately, and I think Stack Overflow, I just use my Google login. And there's a couple that I just have said, I'm in here enough that the one button click for sign in with Google is worth the potential extra.
Yeah.
Because I don't get a lot of advertisements on Stack Overflow, so.
Yeah. Well, back to WWDC. I haven't actually gotten a chance to even watch the keynote from Monday yet. So it's Wednesday night, and unless I watch it tonight after we're done recording, I don't know when I'm going to watch it. It's driving me crazy because I've listened to a couple podcasts or a podcast that's talking about some of the stuff already that was announced. So. But I'd like to see it. It's a guilty pleasure. I like to sort of see what's going on in the Apple ecosystem. And they did the big announcement of the Mac Pros. So, if you have a spare $12,000 minimum.
If you don't need that new car.
Yeah.
You can get a Mac Pro and monitor and stand, which is extra.
I know that was I'm sure that it's not for me, so no worries. No. I'm trying to imagine a world in which I, John King of Oregon, would be willing to fork out $10,000 plus for a computer. Oh my gosh, what kind of a computer would that have to be? No, it's just no. Anyway.
Well, I guess just to wrap up my topic here, then we'll add the link to the updates to the App Store review guidelines. Those are a great place to see what Apple's doing, because that'll tell you what apps you have seen in the store that you either may not see anymore, or what types of apps may start showing up that were rejected previously. For example, one of them that's in here as well, I'll just finish off with this one, is apps may not facilitate purchase of ammunition. So they've added to their guidelines that that's now a no-no if you want your app to pass.
I like in games or like real life ammunition?
I'm assuming it's real life. It's not in games, but that was just an interesting. That's all it says. Guideline 1.1.3: apps may not facilitate purchase of ammunition. So, and there's a lot of new ones about privacy.
That's one of those rules that means that there must have been an app that facilitated the purchase of ammunition in order for there to be a rule against it.
Pretty much.
Oh.
Yep.
Please.
And the other big thing that is great for users and privacy is there used to be 3 options for your location. You could either let the app always have access to it, only when the app is in use, or never. I believe if I have not seen the actual details on this. I've just kind of seen stuff in passing on Twitter where not. There's also one now that is ask every time. So that
really?
It's not never. It's somewhere between never and only when using the app, where you launch the app, it's maybe when you rarely use. You can have the app ask you, do you want to allow it to see your location now?
Interesting. That would be nice. That would be nice, because I would probably happily do that in a lot of apps where.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I noticed. So there's a lot of cool things to go through still.
Yeah, I noticed out here in this updates, the last one in the list, 4.2.7, is remote desktop clients now include game consoles owned by the user. Software appearing in the client must be fully executed on the host device. That guideline has got to be specific to Steam Link.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Exactly.
Which, by the way, I guess I tried 2 or 3 weeks ago, whenever it came out and was released for the iPad. Well, maybe it's on the iPhone too, but I tried it on the iPad, and it was cool-ish. The game wasn't really playable. I mean, I was kind of thinking, oh man, it'd be kind of nice to be able to, sit upstairs in bed and have a iPad, portal onto a game that I've got down on the Mac. But it was.
And that's another thing they've tweaked is there are now 5 OSs. There's iOS, Apple Watch OS, iPad OS, and Mac OS. And what's the other one I'm thinking of?
tvOS.
tvOS, right? So
the iPad
they
OS.
split out iOS into iOS and iPad OS.
Yeah.
So I'll be curious to see what is specific to the iPad and how far they stretch that, since they also have made it inside Xcode. You can build a universal app that'll cross iPhone, iPad, and Mac at this point.
Yeah.
So lots of interesting things. I don't know how that we've strayed from the security angle on it, but
okay. Yes, we have pretty far. But
I have
lots of interesting stuff there.
Fun stuff.
I just wish if they're going to split it, they should call it iPhone OS and iPad OS, not iOS and iPad OS. That's
Cisco wants their trademark back.
Oh, that's true. Maybe they're
prepping for that. I don't know.
That. All right.
All right.
So, fire away. I have 1.75 topics.
I'm looking at 3.
Now, so one's a quarter of a topic, one's a half of a topic, and one's a topic.
Okay. I got you. Shoot.
Okay, so the quarter of a topic is this. I just saw this like a couple hours ago, and I haven't really given. I don't understand the implications of it yet, but it'll be interesting. So that is that Elastic acquired, I guess, Endgame security. So Endgame is security. They started off as we'll call them EDR, but they were doing both EDR and endpoint protection. But the way that the announcement was written, it was written as more of a merger than acquisition, but the details actually had it as creating Endgame as a wholly owned subsidiary. So I mean, I think it's an acquisition, but they were really careful, it seemed to me, to phrase it as a merger. And in fact, the title of the link is Endgame joins forces with Elastic. So I don't know what to think of that, really. I do know that Elastic is most well known for Elasticsearch. But really they own the whole Elk stack, Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. But they've got a number of other things as well. I mean, I think of it as Elasticsearch almost entirely, and if I don't think of it as that, I think of it as Elk. But I haven't had any firsthand experience with any of their other products, and in particular the beat stuff that was mentioned in the article. But so anyway, this isn't really a topic, but it is intriguing to think about what are they going to do, and what are they thinking about? I mean, Elastic, there's a bunch of info in there about Elastic basically trying to take on kind of the SIEM market. Maybe, and I have not been paying attention to them in the security space other than kind of as a tool vendor, but they are an interesting potential competitor to Splunk in terms of just sort of data ingestion and organization and query capabilities.
Right.
With if they have a good way of building on top of it. They don't really have, to my knowledge, any sort of app ecosystem, but they do have great APIs. I mean, that's why Elasticsearch is embedded in so many architectures. Anyway, that announcement kind of came out, as far as I could tell, late this afternoon, and I thought that was worth mentioning.
All right.
Kind of cool. So my half a topic, because there was like very little data in this article, but there was an article, I guess this was 2 days ago, I see, the 3rd of June, about a breach at Quest Diagnostics. So let's see, Quest Diagnostics has confirmed a third-party billing company has been hit by a data breach affecting 11.9 million patients. So not the biggest breach we've seen, but a pretty doggone big one. And, the article mentioned that, let's see, let me find the actual quote here. The unauthorized user siphoned off credit card numbers, medical information, and personal data from the site. So
that's the scary one, is the medical information.
Yeah.
Credit card numbers, you can get new credit cards, and banks that's insured, and personal data anymore is nobody has a private email address or things like that, but medical information, that feels much more potentially damaging.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to change your blood type or blood results or
exactly.
Because this, my understanding. So, the TechCrunch article doesn't say what type of medical data was stolen or, what the personal info is. But, Quest does lab work, I believe. That's the main thing.
Yep.
And there's a quote on their website that says it's, quote, the world's largest database of clinical lab results. So, awesome, possum. So, and you're right. I mean, that's a concerning thing, at least for one reason, because, think of the use of that kind of data in spear phishing.
Yep.
If spear phishing is all about having enough personal info about somebody to convince them that the email is legit and it's something that they want to click on, and that barrier is higher for some people than others.
Mm-hmm.
And, in some cases it might be very low. But, in the situation where there's been a change to your lab results from July 19th, that's the sort of email that is likely to be very relevant to somebody. You have, personal potential knowledge that they had a procedure, that they had a particular thing done, what the results would have been, and whether you falsify something or not. I mean, there's also, you could do other things. Think of other sort of malicious things you could do with that.
Right. You can associate it to your email address and automate a mass phishing scam with very personal details, which ties back to, hey, Apple's sign in with Apple feature. This would be a perfect use case.
I had not intended on tying that back, but yeah, that's true. That's true. So anyway, this was only half a topic, I felt, because there just really wasn't a lot of data in there. But it was, it's a big enough issue that I thought it was still worth mentioning.
All right, so give me the full topic.
All right, so the full topic is this is an article on ZDNet about Hollywood lies that hacking a bank takes seconds. The exact title is "Hacks Take Months, Not Seconds." So
movies don't take months, though.
Yeah, you gotta, especially not just the setup of the movie. You gotta set the premise and gotta get to the chase scene.
Yeah, world's boringest movie. Watching a guy.
Drinking
soda pop.
Could you imagine? But I mean, the funny thing is people are interested in, and I personally am interested in stuff that 20 years ago me, or even 10 or 5 or 10 years ago me, would probably have scoffed at. I mean, think of Twitch TV. Watching other people play video games is something that I think most people could get behind, people who've played video games. But watching other people program, I mean, there's a certain segment of us that would be like, ooh, okay, I could kind of see that. But
people are yelling at the TV, don't use GoTo. What is wrong with you?
Right. Don't go out of the house. Don't go into that barn. No, semicolon. You forgot it. Don't come on. Come on. Anyway, no, I don't know. I forget how did you get me on that? Doesn't matter. Okay.
You're easily distracted.
I'm very easily. I'm probably I'm very tired too. Is probably half the problem. Anyway, so this was interesting, I thought. So this article is actually a summary article about a 16-page PDF that Bitdefender released. So the actual PDF is linked in the article. It's great. I'll probably just link to the article because it's a decent summary. But the coolest thing about this was the timeline that was given, kind of reverse engineering what was part of this breach. So this breach was about a group called Carbonac, and so there is the timeline that was specified here. I mean, obviously, with the title of "Hacks Take Weeks or Months, Not Seconds," the timeline here is 53 days worth of events that happened. So from the first endpoint compromised, which was by spear phishing.
You are the weakest link, people.
Yeah. From, they were able to get a couple of endpoints compromised relatively in short succession. Actually, I'm looking at this within a minute of each other. So people click links pretty quick. And then they were able to get to a domain controller. And so this says the third victim was domain controller compromise and admin credentials used. So once they have that, then they've got some other creds they can use for many things. And various other endpoints that get compromised with beacons dropped and, essentially, let's see, all the way out to sort of collating data for exfiltration and eventually pivoting to, prior to exfiltration, but pivoting to devices that had banking applications on them. So anyway, but yeah, it was 55 days. Sorry, the timeline's kind of weird how they bounce back and forth from the top to the bottom. You have to read the right one. So anyway, let's see. I pulled out a couple of other things to note about this. So I love the sentence. Everything about a modern day bank attack, a bank cyber heist is boring.
Mm-hmm.
Just careful, cautious movement from one host to the next, gathering data, consolidating it for exfiltration, carefully exfiltrating it so you don't,
Trip any triggers.
Yeah, if you flooded something out. There was even a comment in here that, the exfil from bandwidth usage from exfiltration was what triggered the Facebook breach from last year, or one of the Facebook breaches. There's a link in the article.
There's a website
there. That's true. So there, I also pulled out one quote from the actual raw PDF behind this that I thought was interesting, which was that the file itself that the user clicked on, used remote or used exploits for remote code execution in Word, and there are CVE numbers in here. But the document that actually wound up opening, and I didn't look at these CVEs, but I'm sure they have macros embedded in them that, something along those lines. But the file that actually opens up basically says it is a real valid Word document that has 3 words in it, error parsing document, which is essentially it's just a decoy to, show something to the user. So it is a legit Word document, show something to the user that makes them go, huh, and then they don't maybe notice if there's a window that flashes up, or if there's something else that happens in the background as a macro runs, or something along those lines that
right. You just told me an error occurred, so weird things that just happen on the screen should be expected.
Exactly.
So social engineering.
Yep, exactly. So then the last point I guess I brought out of this this particular article was that they were after more than just money. So things like manuals, installers for internal apps, especially useful if there's sort of sector-specific apps that might be used by other companies in the same sector. Then if they can get that, break in and use it for a subsequent or as part of a next phase of this particular thing. So lots of info for exfiltration, not just vulnerable banking apps. But anyway, I thought this article was pretty cool because it kind of gave the sort of beginning to end example from, I think, sorry, I didn't pull the dates out, but it was I think March-ish of 2018 was when this was happening. So first part of last year. And if you're really interested, you can go read the actual raw PDF or the
big doc.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there you go. That was my article.
Hollywood always makes things more interesting than they really are, which is why we go to the movies.
Yeah.
To be entertained.
Although, the way you say that, though, I have to argue with. I think in general most books are better. So it's.
This is true. Books are better than movies.
I love the books. All right, how about something fun for me? What do you got for me tonight? Oh yeah, your trip.
My something fun. So I went to Chicago Sunday through last night, I guess. Got home late last night, and it was to go visit the NIST, our National Institute of Standards and Technology, an agency in the U.S. Department of Commerce. They have a National Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. And I did not know really what to expect. It was a a meeting where they meet with industry and they discuss topics to make sure that, hey, what standards they would like to push forward, push is the wrong word, to what standards they would like to put forward, will have feedback from industry that, is going to either be implementing or help kind of make a collaborative, participative environment, which, frankly, not knowing what to expect and going, it kind of restored my faith in at least some aspects of government, because it was very clear that there were very smart people who were trying to do the right things from a cybersecurity point of view. And, it kind of ranged the gamut of some topics. One was, what about quantum computing? What's coming? What about, what are some topics or things that NIST and the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence should worry about with regards to machine learning and AI and IPv6? And so it kind of ranged, network visibility with how do you balance the need for a company to be able to see the traffic for forensic investigation in the case of a breach and the user's right to privacy, and how where's the right balance there? And these standards that NIST puts forward typically end up being used globally, just
Right.
by virtue of American companies adopt these or use these in decisions. So it was a lot of fun. My favorite part of the weekend was going to dinner Monday night with, mostly it was happy hour, and getting an hour or so into it, a lot of the conversations got more and more entertaining. But I sipped on my Diet Coke and just listened. But it was, it did. I not knowing what to expect, I had a great time. Just kind of contributing. They asked my opinion specifically about various topics, and they were very interested in what I had to say. I was there as a representative of my company, but that's my something fun. That if you are staring at the news and get a little depressed about the current state of government, there are people, the boots on the ground, at least from my tiny little window, are trying to do what's right for the country and for
That's good.
The companies and people.
That's good. I'm glad.
I enjoyed it.
I'm glad you had a good time and it was productive, and that's
positive experience.
Positive experience. That's fantastic. All right. Well, once again, you go highbrow and I'm going lowbrow.
But I did see yours, and I love this.
Did you?
I did. I watched the video of them in Dairy Queen.
Okay, so my something fun was Bill Gates and Warren Buffett grilling and chilling in Dairy Queen. So I'm trying to imagine coming into a Dairy Queen and having Bill Gates take your order at the register, and then Warren Buffett mixing up your Blizzard. And there's a video in this. This link is to a video on gatesnotes.com, which is Bill Gates's blog. But there was at least one part of the video. I only watched it the one time, but where you're supposed to serve it upside down, and we get Dairy Queen all the time, actually. Maybe I don't think it's just a Northwest thing, but. Anyway, so no. the people that make the blizzards, like the centrifugal force down and show it to will you. Keep it in as fast as they turn it upside down and back, right? I mean,
right?
Like they're not turning it upside down and shaking it and saying, "See, it's staying in the cup."
Right.
So at one point, I think it was Warren Buffett turns it upside down. Just holds it upside down and it falls out, and he's like, "Oh well, next one's on me." So anyway, so I don't think I knew that Warren Buffett owned Dairy Queen, but of course, I mean, why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Evidently, the joke is because he's got kind of a legendary sweet tooth, and so his joke was that he put his money where his mouth was. So fantastic. Anyway, so you can go check out the video. I thought that was kind of a fun thing that I saw this week, and I guess while you're out there, you could read some other stuff on gatesnotes.com. I've read a number of his book reviews. I've actually thrown a couple books on my reading list based on his recommendations, and it's kind of it's interesting to watch over the last 10 years, I guess, however long it's been since Bill retired and stepped away and really focused on how to best impact the world with many numbers of dollars, but do the most good for the most people. So anyway, it's good stuff to read.
Yeah.
And that was a particularly funny
This was a
video.
lot of fun. My favorite line in there is Bill Gates needles Warren a little bit with the I think I may have been a quicker study than Warren in the Blizzard department, but watch the video above and judge for yourself.
Nice.
So,
yeah. All right. Well, that was fun.
Yep.
All right, dude. Call it a show?
Yep.
All right. Have a great one. I'll talk to you next week.
All right. See you, John.